Hey, what is up everyone? In this video I want to talk about the recent announcement we had last week with Season 7 being delayed to August 4th. So I have a lot of thoughts on this and I just decided for this video let's just go ahead and talk about it. I'm not angry that they pushed it back or anything. I've seen a lot of both people on one side saying like, screw Rare, how could they make this delayed? I think that's kind of dumb and entitled to be all mad like that. And then I see on the other side where people are just praising Rare like, oh, thanks for the communication, da, 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 that kind of stuff. I guess I would say I'm in the middle. I'm not gonna praise Rare for this, but I'm also not gonna hate on them for it as well. So we found out later in the afternoon on Friday with a blog post on the Sea of Thieves website talking about Season 7 being delayed to August 4th. This is interesting to me in a few reasons. First, in the past I would have typically expected them to have done this maybe in like a developer update video, just like a quick little thing like, hey, we have to push the delay back, whatever. Basically what they did in the blog post, but in a video. That's just what they've done before, and I feel like that's a little bit more personal that way. With a blog post, it just seems a bit more impersonal and just, I don't know, there was a little bit of an odd feeling that I had reading this compared to how we've gotten this kind of news in the past. The other thing that stood out to me is, this is something that I've always heard about in the past, but typically when people want to give bad news, they'll do it on a Friday afternoon because that means they'll have like the weekend where there's no real news coverage too much that, kind of be swept under the rug, and then by the next week people kind of forgot about it. I kind of feel like that's what happened with this, and it feels a little scummy to me just because I feel like we should have known about this sooner. They should have known before a week ahead that they weren't going to have this ready on time. I feel like they would have had to have known this for a few weeks now, that they would have known that they weren't going to hit their deadline. I think the biggest problem with this is how long it's taken to get Season 7. So, Season 7 is supposed to come out in June. Back in June, or a little bit before June, we had them change the timer in-game from like whatever weeks it was. I think it was like 2 weeks to 8 weeks or something like that. They added a lot more time to it. And that was fine. I was a little annoyed because I felt like it wasn't very clear. I'm someone that keeps up a lot with Sea of Thieves both on the website and on YouTube and Twitter. I don't keep up with them on Discord, which is the only place I found that they posted about this. And that was thanks to one of y'all that commented on a video where I talked about the Season 7 update and stuff. I think they should have announced it more to everyone. It doesn't have to be a blog post, but just on Sea of Thieves support Twitter site or whatever, or just somewhere else, like, hey, we pushed back this date. So I already had a bad feeling from that, but I wasn't annoyed because whatever, it's gonna come out eventually. It's fine, it's just like an extra month. Now we're into August to get the update. So we've basically lost the whole summer basically for this new update, which is really annoying to me. I'm sure a lot of you are annoyed about this too. I think the other thing we have to consider is Season 9 was supposed to be the last season of the year, but now with this pushing us all the way back to August, we're probably not going to get Season 9 until 2023. For me, that's a bit frustrating because I feel like that feels so far away now compared to where we're supposed to get it, not too long from now actually. We're supposed to actually get Season 8 like in September basically. But now we're basically not going to start Season 8 until the end of the year. I think the biggest problem though, and this is something that Sea of Thieves has done a few times this year, I've actually talked about it in a video I've already recorded, it hasn't been posted. It's my Season 6 review, and not to spoil too much of it, I basically talked about how the Pirate Legend voyage, they teased that all the way back in January and talked about it then, and it didn't come out until like the end of April. I think that's the right date. It's off the top of my head, I'm not sure to be honest. But I believe it was at the end of April is when we got it. So that's a really long time to wait for it, and when they announced it originally, they weren't very clear of when it was going to come. They just said sometime in Season 6. So all of us are kind of there hoping that it'd be there at launch, maybe like the month after. It just took a long time for us to get it, it felt like. I think the same situation happened again here. So I don't think they should have shown off the Season 7 trailer at the Xbox showcase. Yeah, you want to show us Sea of Thieves there, but because they had already delayed it by a month, we're already going to be waiting a month after the showcase for it to come out. That's not too bad, but now we're going to be waiting even more time after the showcase for it to come out. Now, I believe their original plan was, and I believe this lined up with the date that was originally scheduled before they delayed the first time. I believe that they were going to have the trailer come out, and like either a few days after or the week after, it was supposed to be Season 7. That would have been great if that happened, but it didn't, and I feel like they should have just held off on releasing this trailer. Because now, that was released back in, I think, June, and we're in July, not getting the update until August. One thing I will give Rare credit for is this is really only the second update that's been delayed for the game in the past several years. So the last update that I can think of that got delayed was back in August. I think it was called Lost Sands. It was when we had monthly updates, and this was back like in 2020, I think. Basically with that month, they weren't ready to have the Ancient Vaults come out yet, so they just made a month where it was just like random challenges to do. I think they had a few like cosmetics that you could earn and stuff, but there was no like content update. And it was pretty obvious behind the scenes that they didn't have the Ancient Vaults ready yet, so they needed an extra month to get that finished. Really, that's the only last delay I can think of. Everything else is pretty much came on time from the outside appearing in. Obviously, there might have been stuff that was pushed back maybe like a week or so, but nothing that was really made clear to any of us. Everything seemed normal. So I'll give them a lot of credit for that specifically, that in the whole, say, COVID pandemic period, we've only had 2 updates being delayed, whereas you have other games like, say, Halo, where I'm really upset with Halo Infinite because even though they delayed the game by a year, they still don't have co-op, and they still don't have Forge in the game. That's something me and my friends have been really annoyed by, especially the co-op thing. That's the one that annoys me a lot, because I'm waiting for that to do the campaign. Other games, we just saw Starfield get delayed again, which I don't know if I was the only one. I did not believe that game was coming out anytime soon, but a lot of people were upset about that. Same with things like Breath of the Wild 2 and stuff. So, while I'm not trying to say that it's okay that they said this was going to be coming out, and then at the last minute they basically are like, nope, just kidding, you don't have to wait a bit longer. I'm not saying that's great or anything, or okay, but let's give them some credit for the fact that, for the most part, they've kept everything running pretty well. The last major thing that I want to talk about is, in their blog post, they talked about how the update includes like a vast array of stuff that has to be worked on in the background, and I totally get that. The thing that this made me think of is the delay caused by how the season system is set up? Because if we just had like the monthly updates or whatever, like we had in the past, we might have been able to get little pieces of this over time rather than have to wait for it all to be ready at once for it to ship. So like naming the ship, that shouldn't have been too hard to get done. I'm sure they probably had that done ready for a while now. The stuff that they're talking about, I think, is a lot of the background stuff that has to do with the different pathways play, I think, that we talked about. They teased that off in the trailer, and we talked about that in a previous video. But I think that has to do with that kind of stuff and maybe some other things. I have a feeling that they could have released most of the content that's for Season 7 already, and it's just a few little things that are holding it off. But the reason that everything has to wait is because they have to release it in that seasonal update, rather than just update the game when it's ready. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that the season system is a bad thing, but I think this is one of the flaws of it, where we have to wait for everything to be done for it to all come in one update together. I personally think Season 7 is going to be great, and I think once it gets here, people are going to be not upset anymore with the delays, and they're just going to be happy that it came out. But it is kind of frustrating to me to think that, like in 2 months from now, we could have had Season 8, but we're not even on Season 7 yet. So those are my thoughts on Season 7 being delayed again. I think Rare will get it done, and it'll be great when it comes out, and I think everyone that was upset about it before is just going to be happy that it's out. But it is pretty disappointing that, say, in 2 months from now, we could have had Season 8, but we haven't even gotten Season 7 yet. I'm curious to see if this will cause more problems down the line. I'd figure that if they're having so much trouble getting Season 7 done, they're probably not doing much work on Season 8 or 9 yet, which means those might also get delayed. But let's try to be positive. I think everyone's going to really love this update, and I'm really looking forward to it when it comes out. And I'd rather have it a non-buggy, fully functioning game rather than get the update next week. And I'd personally rather them fully finish it and get the bugs fixed and everything that they need to do, rather than say release it this week when it was supposed to and have a bunch of bugs and stuff that they have to fix later on. But those are my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all later. Bye y'all.